All right, welcome back, folks. Today I want to continue my work with the 165 grain Hornady GMX with AR-Comp in 308 Winchester. My first video with these bullets that was posted just a couple days ago was a bit of a mess. I had problems during my reloading, so a little bit of frustration trying to straighten out some of that. And then once we got to the range, the groups were just terrible, which is not all that surprising. Like, I've traditionally struggled to find good groups with lead-free bullets. That doesn't make it any less frustrating every time it happens. So in that last video, we shot 42.4 grains of AR-Comp, and we shot 3 different overall lengths. Our shortest overall length of 2.740 was by far the best group. It was right about an inch. Now, what I found interesting was as we were getting shorter overall lengths, our velocity was dropping. And in a recent 223 video where I was shooting the 70 grain GMX in that cartridge, we saw the same thing. And with that bullet, we shot it on the same day as some Barnes TSX bullets, and the Barnes didn't do it. And then back to our video with this bullet, we also shot some of the 165 grain SST, kind of a more traditional bullet, and velocity stayed about the same with those. So I don't know, there's something about these GMXs, the shorter you go, they seem to drop some velocity. And in our specific case, accuracy is getting better. So does that mean the lower velocities have something to do with it? Could we achieve the same thing with just dropping our charge weight? So maybe we drop the charge weight a little bit, continue to go shorter with the overall length, and see what happens. I've talked myself out of that plan. I don't want to change charge weight and continue to change overall length. Let's just stick with the same charge weight from the last video, 42.4 grains. We'll shoot our best overall length from the last video, which was 2.740 more or less. And I want to shoot 3 more groups going shorter in 10,000ths increments. So 2.740, 3020, and 10. And just kind of see what happens. Because I don't really have enough bullets to go much deeper here. This is a box of 50. We shot 15 in the last video, so I've only got 35 of them. And I would like to hunt with these here in just a couple weeks. So the plan I came up with, here are our last 4. So if I pull out a couple spares. So here's 35 pieces of brass. This represents all of the bullets I have left. I'd like to have 15 to hunt with because, you know, I need to put a lower power scope on the gun and get it sighted in and then feel like I've got enough to hunt with. And also, like, maybe the scope's a little bit of a pain in the butt getting it zeroed, whatever. You know, I feel like 15, I should be probably good to go for the season. So that's why we really only have 20 for test today. So these are our 4 groups. We'll just see which one shoots best and then load up the other 15 to hunt with. I feel like I just explained that in the most confusing way possible, but that's fine. You guys are smart. It's all on the screen, right? The other components are staying the same. Like I said, AR-Comp, we'll shoot 42.4 grains. We're shooting the same batch of Lapua Palma brass, and we're going to use CCI 41 primers. Now, since I'm not in a rush at all today, thank God, I did have time to anneal all of this brass. I pulled out my salt bath annealing setup and got them annealed. So that was not done in the last video. So let's get started with sizing. So in the last video, I used a Hornady die from Hornady custom grade die set, but I've also got a small base RCBS die that I've used quite a bit. I want to run a quick test with both because I want to use, you know, our expanding mandrel to open the necks back up with a 306 separate expanding step. So I'd like to see which one of these 2 sizing dies works the neck the least. So I've got a couple pieces of brass that have loose primer pockets. So we'll use these for a little bit of die testing. First here is the RCBS. And next is our Hornady. And this is one of the main reasons. This die seems to do a lot more work to the brass. Like, you know, same batch of brass here. I just treated them in the exact same way. These are ones that were, you know, annealed just like the ones we're going to be shooting today. They were, you know, exactly the same, just ones that I had to cull for primer pockets. So let's take some measurements and see if we can figure out what's going on. Okay, left is RCBS, right is Hornady, and the center is one that hasn't been resized. Now, if you remember, the expander ball was removed from both sizing dies, so these necks have not been opened back up. But let's see, just on the RCBS, if we can get an idea of about what our number is. I need to back up my camera, don't I? Yeah, a million ways to measure this, and I'm not really concerned with absolute precision, just kind of want a ballpark, and 328 is the number I'm getting pretty darn consistently. Okay, so 328 there. The Hornady looks pretty much exactly the same, so there's no significant difference in the amount that I'm squeezing down the neck with the 2. So try a couple other measurements and see if we can figure out why that Hornady die feels so much more difficult to size with. All right, RCBS right below the shoulder is 453. We get right about there. The Hornady is 449, like very consistently, 449, 449. I'll check my placement here, make sure I'm 452 and a half, 453. Okay, so that's a huge difference. Let's see what the fired case is. Fired case is 455 to 456. Okay, so I already knew that the RCBS, like the brass sized with this die, fits in the gun just great. So this is enough, right? We're just, at least here, right below the shoulder, just squeezing the die in a couple thousandths, where with the Hornady, what's the total difference? Yeah, it's the difference of 6 or 7 thousandths of sizing work below the shoulder with the Hornady versus like 3 with the RCBS, I guess. While we got the tools out, let's measure around some other places. Yeah, not seeing any significant difference anywhere else on the cases. So easy winner here. We're going to use the RCBS to make our life easier and work our brass a little bit less. You know what, while I'm in the mood, I'll pull out my Redding full-length sizing die as well and see how it compares. Now the problem with testing this die is it's been a while since I've used it. And sometimes it takes a minute to knock off whatever corrosion and crap is in there and get a sizing die running smoothly. So this one might not be super easy. It wasn't bad. That was probably even easier than the RCBS. Okay, so outer neck diameter is the same at 328. So no significant difference between the three. That measurement at the shoulder is exactly like the RCBS, right at 453. Maybe just a hair bigger, maybe a 454, 453 and a half. So yeah, that's what's going on here. For some weird reason, that Hornady 308 die just has a particularly tight measurement on the body, and it is really making sizing more difficult. Good. I hate finding, issues like this. I mean, if you even really want to call it an issue, but it's an annoyance. I hate finding annoyances like this because, like, how do I give guidance on this? Okay, buy 4 die sets and pick the one you like best, or 3 die sets. And it's not like Hornady die sets are bad. I use a ton of them. Tell you what, this bad primer pocket brass is coming in handy. We'll use it to set up our sizing die as well. I think I've got it pretty close, but might have just gone a little too far. Nope, not yet. Yeah, so that time I went a little too far. I bumped it 5 thousandths. This should be close. I'm going to call that perfect. So 2.5 thousandths of bump. All right, let's see if I can get this expander die put in properly this time. I saw in the comments somebody mentioned, like, just remove the expander and look down the top and you can see what's going on. Let's try that. Put a case up in here. Yep, sure enough. You can look right down in there and see, yeah, you can easily see, the ridge where this sits on, obviously. And you can see your case mouth, so I am a moron. Should have just looked in the top. I'm not sure if 21st Century makes one, but I think K&M, I don't know, somebody makes one where it's got a little sight window where you can kind of see what's going on. Doesn't seem like that big a deal as long as you're not a moron like me. So I had 5 extra pieces of brass. So I've weighed out 43.0 grains of AR-Comp in those, and I want to load the 168 grain Sierra MatchKing at 2.8 inches. So we tested this combo 2 videos ago, and it looks like it's going to be awesome. The groups are great. The standard deviation is good. So I'm thinking this is going to be a long-term, kind of go-to load. That way, even if today's GMX groups suck, maybe we'll have at least one good group to feel good about ourselves with. Okay, let's see. Guess I could just look up the cartridge-based ogive number I used in that video. Looks like it was 2.230. So I'm 90 thousandths long. That should be it right there. Yeah, 2.230 gives me 2.802. You guys don't care, right? This isn't even not even the subject of today's video. All right, those 5 are done. Now we can move on to the GMX. Let's see, our first, get to the right page in my notebook. There it is. Yeah, so our first overall length is 2.740. That was 2.118 cartridge-based ogive. So let's back off of our Sierra MatchKing number a little ways. Oh, that seats like butter. That didn't seat that easy last time. 323 too long. Might run out of room on the die here. Crap, now I confused myself. I went down a little bit farther to make sure we would have plenty of adjustment room, and then I lost track of where I was in my count, so whatever. Back it off a little bit. Ooh. Now the rest of that felt a little tougher. Hold on one second, I'll show you why I think that is. But yeah, these are like, the seating operation starts really hard, but then about halfway through, definitely some resistance as you get over one of these bands on the bullet. Get my little pointer here. Yeah, I think what's happening, this part seats really easy, but then whenever it gets to this little driving band, I'm not sure what they call these on the lead-free bullets, I think it's just, you can definitely feel that because we're going well past that. This is our first overall length. Just barely see a little bit of that top groove, and then we're going to be moving even deeper, 40 thousandths deeper. Nice and easy. That one actually felt pretty good the whole way. Wonder if there's a measurable difference in the diameter of that band. No, I don't think there is. Calipers aren't exactly a good way to measure this. Surest way I found here was to line it up like this, point it toward the light, and see if I could see any gaps. I don't see any gaps, and I don't see any difference in measurement either. Like just straight around like that, always comes up 308. So whatever, no big deal. Go down 10 thousandths, seat the next 5, and then repeat that a couple times, and we're done. You know what I think might be going on is right about the time whenever, the case mouth gets to that point like I was just talking about, where maybe the driving band is what we're feeling. I think that's also the point where the bullet is hitting powder. It's right about the time I'm feeling it get crunchy. These are slightly compressed loads. So maybe that's what the weird feeling's all about. I'm always on the lookout for something that feels weird, If I can manage to seat 7 more bullets here without incident, this will be an incident-free loading session. Big change from the last one where everything just seemed to be going wrong. And then the range trips sucked. So, a lot of you guys in the comments, I appreciate you giving me a little bit of moral support, It doesn't always go right. And sometimes you waste components and you unexpected results, and your process was so screwed up that you don't even trust the results. I guess that's the challenge that makes it fun. I'm like every single one, whenever I finish, they all feel so kind of funky that I'm always checking there to see if there's any pushed up copper, around the case mouth. And like, I don't think there is. That's happened to me a lot. Like a lot of times when, bullet seating doesn't feel right or something, and you look and you've got jacket material being dug up, and I don't think that's going on here. But I mean, so right now with this loading, we used a 306 expander. So 2 thousandths under bullet diameter. But if I wanted to make the seeding process maybe a little simpler, maybe try and get rid of that rough spot, we could just jump up to a larger expander. And I've got the whole kit. I can go in half thousandths increments and dial it in exactly as I want. Now that's going to change results on the range, right? Changing neck tension, we need to test that as we do it to see what the effect actually is. But it's there as an option. All right, I think that's it. Let's get to the range. Okay, it's time to get started. I'm using the Shot Marker electronic target system. I shot a couple rounds of factory ammo just to check it out, make sure it was working. Just now, gun's warmed up, I guess, a couple shots. So at the end, we might end up shooting a group of this as well, depending on how things go. So let's see, target is at 100 yards. This gun is an Aero Precision M5E1 setup with a Krieger barrel, 20-inch 1-in-11 twist. Shooting with a Silencer Co. Omega suppressor, Vortex Viper PST scope, Gen 1, so it's 24 power. And I think that covers all of the things people ask about if I ever forget to mention them. Weather's beautiful. It's about 60 degrees. A little bit of a light breeze, but I don't think it'll cause us much problems. Okay, our first group is 2.740. This is a verification of our best group from the last video. So it shot about an inch in the last vid. All right, let's see what happens. All right, that's pretty close. But in the last video, I don't think we ever saw three of them trying to group tight like that. So that's really encouraging. So 1.17 inches. So the velocity is a little bit higher than it was in the last video. So we got 2709. Last time it was 2682. So about 30 feet per second difference. Good standard deviation at 8.5. All right, that's a good start. Like if that's the best we see today, that's still something I'm going to feel pretty confident about hunting with. I'm in Northeast Kentucky, so talking thick woods. Most of my shots are probably going to be bow range, but anything past 100 or 150 yards is almost unheard of. So a little over an inch definitely gets the job done. All right, let's see if 2.730 is any better. .27 inches, velocity 2699, standard deviation 6.9. Moving right along. 2.720 is next. Man, that last shot was just bad. I did not feel good when that went off. Don't know if it had any effect, but it just didn't quite feel right. Okay, 1.32 inches, 2696. If we give it the benefit of the doubt and say that I did indeed kind of pull this one here. Yeah, the other four went into 0.86 inches. Those all felt like good shots. So that's not bad. Okay, last up, 2.710. .39 inches, 2690 feet per second. Hot, stinky, piled up garbage is kind of what we're looking at here, right? So the first group here was actually the smallest, but I like the looks of these two much better just because of the stability and the point of impact. Like losing these up high on the first and fourth groups make me a little nervous. And you know, who's to say maybe if we shot more than 5 shots, we'd lose some high with these as well, but well, let's see if we can shoot some small groups just to cleanse the palate. We'll start with the 5 shots with the Sierra MatchKing, 43.0 grains of AR-Comp at 2.8 inches. Oh no, I screwed it up. And actually, that felt like a good shot. It took us up to 0.75. What were we shooting before that? The other 4 went into 0.48. Not too bad. We've still got some work to do on that load. See, that velocity was 2757. And last time we shot that, we shot 43.1, so 0.1 grain more powder, and it was 2753. So we're in the right ballpark. All right, so I have 5 of these left. We'll go ahead and shoot a group. They are the 178 grain bow-tail hollow point Hornady match stuff. I know I've tested this in this gun before, but it was a couple years ago. I can't remember what sort of results we got. Oh, I didn't get, what the heck's going on here? Freaking garbage factory ammo, man. What are you gonna do? Yeah, it looks like it just kind of went in crooked, and I got a big old gouge on the side of the brass. And if you saw my video about removing a live stuck round with a grease gun, you'll understand why I'm not going to try to chamber that again. We'll just call it a 4-shot group. And what'd that 4-shot group look like? Not too bad. A whole lot like our MatchKing group, right? All right, I'm gonna get packed up. Let's go back to bench. Let's load up my hunting ammo for the year. So I decided to go with the 3rd load, the 2.720 inch overall length. Looking at the target, trying to come up with some justification to pick one or the other, I'm not finding much more than what I talked about on the range, where that 2nd and 3rd group having similar point of impact made me want to pick one of those or split the difference and load in between, but I'm just going to go with the 3rd one. It's going to get the job done. Right at 2,700 feet per second. So it might not be the best load, but it's a good enough load. I'll keep you all updated next month whenever hunting season comes in. If I have any luck with these, I'll let you know how they did. And I need to thank a viewer named Clint for sending these bullets. I mean, it must have been 2 or 3 years ago, which is why my P.O. box is pretty much closed right now. I've got so many bullets that people have sent, and I've just never been able to get around to shooting them. And I apologize to the people that have reached out recently, and I've just basically had to say, like, I can't take any more right now. Got to get caught up on some of these projects. And this is a big one, right? This AR-10 308 never got the love that it deserved. We had so much barrel problems in the beginning, and we just never really got it off the ground. So I'm happy to be making progress here. Now we've got another AR-10 upper in 6.5 Creedmoor that we've never really tested much. So I'm going to be doing some videos with that upper really soon. So I think that pretty much covers it, folks. I'll have another video on Sunday at 8 o'clock, and we'll be shooting 223. Still working with that 75 grain Hornady bullet that's doing really well, and working with this exact same powder we were shooting today, AR-Comp. So that's Sunday, but I'll tell you what, I'm just about AR-Comp'd out. Seems like that's all we've been shooting. So if you're getting a little bit annoyed by the lack of powder diversity, we're going to be changing that here pretty soon. All right, that's it. See you guys next time.